Hey everyone. So in this video what we're going to talk about is how to use vertical remixing within WWise. Vertical remixing is the ability to add and remove layers in a game, and what we're going to do is create a new project here. There are two ways to do vertical remixing within WWise, and we're going to do we'll call this project WWise Layers using RPTCs. Now RPTCs are real-time parameter controls, and I don't need any plugins for this. I'll hit OK, and you're able to take a game parameter that has a numerical value and input it into WWise as a numerical value, and those are called real-time parameter controls, and you map those controls over to, say, the volume of a layer. So what we'll do is we'll go over and bring in some of our raw materials. I'm going to show you a trick. We're going to bring in our first layer, and it's going to create a segment out of that layer, and we can kind of see that here. And let's go ahead and look at it. Make sure that you're in the interactive music layout so that you can actually see it. Now, this is when I brought that wave file in, it created a segment and a track on that segment, just so that we're not confused about what this is. What I'm going to do is change the name of this to called layered music segment. Okay. Once you have one segment set up, then you can bring in your second layer, drag it in, and drag it to that same track, and you can see that's going to add a music track instead of bringing a new, adding a new segment. And you can see that it's added it down here, so now that we have two layers, and I'll go and do the same with the third. So I can bring the third one in and just add it. Again, it's going to make a music track in that segment for me, and I have 3 music tracks set up. Okay, so let's go ahead and build our RPTC. Now, in previous videos, you may remember the Game Syncs tab. That's where we set up the kind of communication mechanism with the game itself. And so the game is going to be sending data through the Game Syncs tab here. So what we're going to do is create a new game parameter, and go new child, new game parameter, and let's call this distance to enemies. So distance to enemies. With game parameters, you have to make sure that you don't use any spaces, but you can use underscores like I have here. And so what I'm going to do is just click on it so that it will refresh, and then I can see and set the range for it. Right now it goes from 0 to 100. That could be meters, it could be feet, it could be miles. You can set this to whatever you want it to be, and change the values if you want it to be too. So let's change the default to 100. That means when it loads, it will actually, the enemies will start far away. Okay, so what we're going to do now is take our distance to enemies parameter and map it to the voice volumes of our 2 tracks, music layer 2 and music layer 3. So when I take music layer 2, I can go up to the RPTC tab and then assign, we want to use voice volume, which is mapped to our distance to enemy parameter. And we'll do this for all of them. Now, I'm going to open this up a little bit so we can see it. And basically the volume when distance to enemies is 0, the volume's down at minus 200 dB. So we actually want it to be opposite. We don't want the music to fade up as the enemies walk away from us. We want it to fade up when the enemies walk toward us. So what I'm going to do is change this so that as the enemies come toward us, as the distance to enemies decreases, then that the level of music layer 2 is going to come up. And so you also can change it so that you can add more points in here, and that's what I want to do here. Actually, when we're 20 meters away, I want to make sure that the volume of layer 2 is all the way up, and you just double click a new point to sort of add new points along the sort of mapping of your RPTC to the voice volume. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go down and select my third layer, and again go to the RTPC tab, select voice volume. So the voice volume is being controlled by an RTPC. We select which one, distance to enemy, and again we want the volume to increase as you get closer. So I'll set it up like this, but two things. I want the volume when we're within, say, 5 meters or 7 meters there. I want the third layer to be all the way up. But before that, I don't want it to start really increasing until we're 30 meters away. That way, layer 2 is increasing dynamically over time from 100 meters, and layer 3 increases when they get to 30 meters. So if we're going to listen to that, what I want to do is listen to my layered music segment, and I can go down here and look at my RTPC to sort of adjust this on the fly, and you can see it up there. So I'm going to actually view layer 2, and we'll play this thing. Right now we're just hearing the first layer, but as I start to bring in, you can see the RPTC increasing, and that's the string ostinato down below that you're hearing come in. Before 30, by the way, 30 is the marker where layer 3 will actually start coming in. So we can sort of hear that. There's the faster string material as well as the drums that we have. And that's it. So that's how you create a vertical remixing music for a game using RTPCs. In the next video, we're going to show you how to do this using segments. The challenge with using RTPCs for the game is that the game has control over how these layers fade in. If your distance of enemies, let's say your enemy has a magic power where he's instantly able to go from, say, 60 meters away from you, like if he's way over here, and he has a magic power to instantly jump over here, you can't control the fade time. It's just going to jump and turn itself on. So there are certain places where you don't want to give the control, the fade time control, over to the game itself. And you have to sort of decide with your game development team what's best for the game itself. So this is version 1. In the next one, we're going to use a switch container so that we can control the volumes, the fade times for our individual layers manually. Okay, see you on the other side.